Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360, Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you are talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we ensure TMCs operate as efficiently as possible. If that sounds of interest, do get in touch. So as usual, I'm joined by Ash and Anne to help me discuss our list of stories today. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant with LeapShift and happy to help you with anything you might need help with when it comes to NDC, one order, distribution, airline retailing. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the Vice President of Client Success at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
So for those new to the event, welcome. The format of our discussion is a quick, non-biased and spontaneous review of the previous week's top LinkedIn travel industry stories. So last week, the first story that came up for me that stood out was the announcement by the Avis Budget Group that they are going to stop the Zipcar provisioning service. It's a cars when you need it service in the UK. And Zipcar is a business they acquired, I think it was 2005, but it was substantial acquisition cost to them, like $500,000, but they are not going ahead with that. So I am not too sure what to make of it, but Ash, I'll begin to hear what you think.
I'll tell you what to make of it. This is a good move for them. I mean, they should start doing this worldwide because the concept of Zipcar is outdated. They need to move from people renting a car to cars being fully automated and picking people up on demand wherever they want. So Avis Budget Group getting rid of some weight as they move forward. The good news is that the Avis Budget stock is doing really, really well, 32% up from last year. That might be a little bit surprising. So they're doing well, and this is a good move for them to shed some dead weight.
I mean, my understanding of Zipcar, it wasn't a car rental in the traditional sense service. It was one of those, like, you scan the QR code, you just take the car and off you go. But they're keeping this elsewhere, right? Why the UK?
Probably because some expiration dates are coming up.
Let's move on. Second story that I picked up from last week relates to Singapore Airlines and Air India. I wasn't aware that Singapore Airlines already holds a 25% stake in Air India. That is significant. I wasn't aware it was that big. But this press release, if you want, was just talking about the fact that they have signed let's call it a further deepening relationship agreement. They called it a commercial cooperation framework agreement. It's quite a mouthful. And it just looks ahead at things they can do better together. So, Anne, is just this PR for the sake of PR, or is this meaningful?
Obviously, it's very meaningful to Singapore Airlines. I do understand them. I mean, India is the biggest market, or the biggest growth market, I would say, for aviation in the world. So, there's no question about that. And we've got such an untapped number of passengers. Pre-pandemic, it was like 10% of the population flew or something like that. There is a massive, massive demand there. And I fully understand Singapore Airlines' move. To me, Singapore Airlines is the best airline in the world. I know that sounds extremely biased, but to me it is. And hopefully they can influence Air India in a very positive direction. Your thoughts, Ash?
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, we actually talked about this when Singapore Airlines acquired the 25% stake on the show. It was back in 22. And that was actually a move that was connected to the Vistara relationship that was in place. So this is a deepening of that relationship, and they're taking it to the next level. Your favorite word, Anne, interline tickets and other things like that. So a lot to look forward to.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Introducing DerbySoft Exchange, a dynamic marketplace where suppliers and distributors collaborate seamlessly. Suppliers connect to global distributors like OTAs, travel agencies, and tour operators. Distributors, in turn, access a diverse inventory from both trusted chains and independent suppliers. All through one simple agreement, bypassing individual negotiations. DerbySoft Exchange. Control, cost, and connectivity. Ready to transform the future of distribution? Visit derbysoft.com/exchange.
Then we had two instances of airlines being fined. The first one not going down so well. And this is, if you recall, we talked about this at length, the disruption that was, let's call it misunderstanding by IndiGo about the interpretations of the changes to crew schedule rules and how long they could work. And it caused huge disruption to the Indian domestic travel market. The Indian Directorate General of Civil Aviation fined IndiGo $2.4 million US, and this caused a lot of upset and outrage by specifically pilots and unions to say this is not enough. This was a very low number and they should be fined more severely. So interesting response there from even within the organization. Ash, I want to come to you on this one. What do you make of this? Do you agree it's not enough?
I mean, what's enough? 10 million? I don't think there's any end to that conversation. I think that the rules that apply were applied and they charged the fine that were supposed to be charged. The pilots union should be happy that they get bonuses probably because there is going to be a lesser fine.
What do you think, Anne?
Totally opposite. I agree that it was a very, very, that is a very small fine. I don't understand that because this was an utter mess. This is such a disaster. So I think it should be definitely much more significant and hurtful and painful to the airline for them to understand that they have to do better than this.
One of the things I read somewhere about this was some of those pilots were aware that, they might be shooting themselves in the foot here with, not having been, but they were saying they don't want to set a precedent here, which is understandable.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if IndiGo feels like they got away with anything. I mean, they were totally destroyed in the press, right? I mean, there was no limit to what people were saying. Everybody in the world knows that IndiGo had a really rough go. The chairman had to come and apologize to the world, and he did a good job of that. I don't know if a fine is necessarily going to create anything other than just a additional value to the government. I think IndiGo paid a very dear price, and whether the fine is 2.4 million or 5 million or 10 million, I don't think it matters.
I can see both sides, absolutely. And then sticking with people who get fined, this is a very interesting story that I picked up. Spain's competition authority imposed a fine on 4 big TMCs for allegedly colluding in public sector tenders for corporate travel services. This is fascinating to me. I mean, those are big names, involved there. And for the Spanish government to say they colluded with regards to, the tenders that went out, it's obviously quite a serious allegation. But you can easily see it happen, right, Anne?
Absolutely. And I've seen it happen so many times in the past. It's just sad that history keeps repeating itself. I truly hope that with more automation and tools to detect more, that possibly we can try to stop this kind of behavior. I've seen it throughout my entire career.
Then before we go on, just to say thank you to the audience for giving us your time on a Monday. Our focus here is to get as many of us connected as possible. And it would be great if you want to comment and tell us where you're listening from. We always like seeing that. Just say hi and tell us where you're listening from. We'll get your name on screen and maybe you'll get a few more connection requests. But again, thank you for the fantastic support. We do get a lot of messages afterwards from people saying how much they enjoy it. And we appreciate those as well. So thank you very much. We've got a few more stories to cover. So KLM is going to give free Wi-Fi to their passengers on all of their European flights for now, so the inter-European flights. And it was an interesting post to see. The most interesting thing for me to see was, however, that they were not going with Starlink, but they're going with, I guess, a competitor, Viasat, whereas Air France is actually taking Starlink. Now that really baffles me, right, Anne? It doesn't make any sense. Or do you think it's good for them to spread the risk bet here?
Yeah, unless they want to sort of test the two, against each other, then I guess it would make sense. Otherwise, I don't think it makes sense. I think it makes sense to use the same products for the entire group. It's good that we're seeing more and more free Wi-Fi.
I'm surprised it's free, really. So, Ash, any thoughts on that?
Well, not everybody can be on Starlink, Rian, because that would be a monopoly of some sort, I think.
That's right.
Some have to choose other options besides that. Kind of agree with you in the sense that, why wouldn't they use the same company? Viasat actually is used by American Airlines and many other airlines.
I just find it very interesting. I mean, Air France, KLM is the same group, right? Just Mark Lenihan, you hear everyone. We really appreciate that from Dublin, Ireland. Michael Carter out of Australia in Queensland. Biva in New York. I guess you are shivering and cold as Usher. He tells us he's also in New York. And then Gary in snowy Boston. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate that. Michael Carter's saying to us that Qantas still has dial-up for internet services. Poor old Qantas. They never get any coverage.
Out of curiosity, what does Delta use?
It's Viasat.
Oh, it's Viasat. Oh, that's interesting. So KLM go with same as Delta.
Other interesting news is investment news in our industry from Muse, the hospitality property management system, Muse. They've raised $300 million, giving them a $2.5 billion evaluation. So it was just interesting to see that happen. And then later in the week, and I missed this entirely, which is about Capital One acquiring Brex for $5 billion with a B. And so Capital One getting into some serious business travel coverage there. This is significant, right?
Yeah, we are following the banks very closely, aren't we? Or as closely as we can, right? We keep our eyes, I would say, very much peeled on Capital One, on Revolut. There is hope for a great deal of improvement here. I find it very interesting.
Well, keep in mind that Brex actually was at a $12 billion evaluation last year.
Wow.
So they've
last year.
Yeah, they've dropped a significant percentage because I think the value of these platforms is decreasing in the eyes of the banks. So they should have sold last year when they had 12 billion. I think they're selling now because they can't go any lower.
I know they're a lot more than just spend management. Even despite that drop, that's still a significant spend, though. $5 billion is more than some of the GDSs are worth. It's a big spend.
Yeah, I think a lot of times these entities and platforms have a valuation based on not what they can do today, but what they might be doing in the futures. That's part of it. I mean, they have some big customers as well, so it's not like they don't have that. But to me, the big thing was value was 12 billion, now it's 5 billion. And after Capital One bought them, their shares dropped 3%. Capital One shares, that is. So that's also a significant part of the story.
Okay, those were the stories, and my extra story just snuck in there. Anne, do you have any extra stories for us?
Yes, I have a couple. And first of all, it's fantastic news, isn't it? They've now stopped this requirement of 100 milliliters at Heathrow.
Absolutely. I was looking for there we go. There's the imperial. That is great news.
It is absolutely amazing. It's fantastic, isn't it? The only problem is that if you can travel outbound then from Heathrow, but probably have a problem going back.
That's going to create some good fun at the airports when the people say, oh, well, I brought it from London. And...
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Any from you, Ash?
Bring a hotel story to the conversation today. So Hilton has partnered with a accommodation provider called Placemaker. Never heard of them before. Basically, what they're doing is they are launching a new brand by Hilton that's going to focus on apartment-style accommodations. They already have 10,000 of these apartment-style accommodations available. So if you book this particular brand, they're calling it Apartment Collection by Hilton. You'll get your Hilton Honors points. And Hyatt also has a similar product called Hyatt Studios that's just recently opened up as well. So both companies are going for this market. Interesting to see these companies move in that direction.
That name is one letter away from being a medical situation. I don't like that name. Placemaker.
Well, I don't think we'll see that name on the billboards anywhere. It'll just be Apartment Collection by Hilton is what they're calling it.
Okay, that's a better name. Yes, indeed. So there's an announcement from Stefan Bingemer giving us a lot of details. Stefan, thank you for that. He's just telling us he's listening from Heilbronn, and he's giving us some information about the difference between Viasat and Starlink. Thank you for that. And Michael Carter is telling us it's very hot in Queensland today. And he's listening in even at 11:30 p.m. Bless you, Michael. Thank you for that.
I think he's telling us that because we're all freezing over here. That's why he's just reminding us.
Well, I'm not. I'm in sunny South Africa. It's fantastic as well. I do enjoy this. Not looking forward to having to go back tonight. Okay, guys, I think that's a wrap. Very nice session. Thank you for all those attending. Full room today, so that's great. Thank you again to Excel Travel for letting me use their boardroom. And to all the comments, we love those. Thank you. And obviously to you guys both, thank you very much. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, Rian, and thanks, everyone. Thank you for your comments. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you missed a show because of time zone or availability, the podcast is available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.